Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Jared. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. And I know Hillary for prison shirt, okay? Prison. It's not a Hillary shirt. It's not a Hillary shirt. I've shot this video a few times because there's a lot involved in it. This is the update for Massachusetts in the lawsuit against Maura Healy, our Attorney General, Charlie Baker, our Governor, the Colonel of the Massachusetts State Police, the Massachusetts State Police as a whole, as well as the Secretary of EOPS, the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. This case was brought up by GOAL, the Gun Owners Action League here in Massachusetts, as well as some other plaintiffs. And I'm going to touch on it, give you some information, where it stands now, where what the dates are for the future for this case, as well as some key links that if you're going to want all the information, the links are there. You can do some reading because there's a lot of stuff in this. Every time a date comes, there's a ton of paperwork filed, and for me to try to get that all out in a video that you'll actually want to sit there and watch isn't going to happen. One of the things I always taught when I was an instructor in the academies is your brain can only absorb what your ass can endure. So if you're not going to watch this for an hour, why would I give you an hour's worth of information? So I'm going to cram as much as I can in. Stick with me. January 23rd, 2017, Werman v. Baker was filed in court. It's a federal case suing Maura Healy et al., the governor, the colonel, everybody I said in the opening, and challenging the constitutionality of a couple things that took place here in Massachusetts last July in 2016. Now for the actual complaint, link is in the description. If you live in Massachusetts, you should probably read this, especially if you're a gun owner, because this will answer all the questions of what are they doing and how are they doing it. It'll be right in that form. Now there are a couple other forms I will attach also in the links here, because as the case moves forward, say the plaintiff's side will charge certain things and the defendant will try to undermine those things to get them thrown out, and that's where we are at the moment. On January 26th, 3 days after the complaint was filed, the Attorney General's office came through with their own rebuttal. And that's called a notice of a related case, and she tried to get the case thrown out at that time because there is another case in Massachusetts suing her on similar grounds. Now that case is Pullman Arms Inc. et al. Versus Maura Healy. Pullman Arms, if you're not from the Worcester area, is a gun shop in Worcester. They elected to be the front people, along with some others that are in this lawsuit, to take it to the Attorney General for her unconstitutional acts. Now the Pullman Arms case was filed September 22nd of 2016, before this case that we're talking about right now, which is Werman v. Baker. But the Attorney General tried to get Werman v. Baker thrown out because of this other case, and I'm going to read you, it's easier to read a couple things than it is to try to remember all the legal jargon and who's trying to attack who. So stick with me. And a link to this actual notice of related case is also linked in the description, as is what I'm about to quote off of, which is the opposition to the notice of a related case. So the Attorney General said basically to the judge that, listen, I'm getting sued on two different cases, and they're both pissed off because it took away the loophole of purchasing Massachusetts compliant firearms, rifles, semi-automatic rifles, which she calls assault weapons, which has been taking place for 20 plus years here in the Commonwealth. But I woke up one day and stopped it all because I wanted to make a name for myself, one that didn't start with a B and rhyme with itch. So the judge obviously wanted to get the rebuttal from the opposition, and this is it. While they say yes, they are suing Maura Healy as well, there are some specific differences between both sets of plaintiffs, and this is where it gets interesting. So in the Werman v. Baker case, they're saying the plaintiffs have alleged 3 causes of action: that Massachusetts statutory prohibition on assault weapons and large capacity feeding devices violate the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, that the statutory phrase copies or duplicates, which was the main, the teeth of Maura Healy's decision to stop the sale of ARs and AKs overnight. That's what she termed it was a copy or a duplicate of a banned weapon. They're challenging that is unconstitutionally vague, and that the Attorney General's notice of enforcement is an unconstitutional retroactive application of an expanded criminal statute, ex post facto. And the bulk of the Werman v. Baker plaintiffs' arguments are directed at the statutory language prohibiting the possession of assault weapons and large capacity feeding devices. The only challenge to the notice of enforcement under this case is to its retroactive application to transfers approved by Massachusetts at the time they occurred. So, in a nutshell, listen, we've been doing this for 20 years. Every attorney general, every colonel of state police, every governor, all the troopers, everybody involved with the sale and transfer of firearms in Massachusetts was okay with it until you had a hair across your ass. Pretty much sums it up. Now, the Pullman case, the one that was filed first, that she was trying to get the Werman v. Baker case tossed out because of, that is going after 3 different challenges. The first is that they challenged the notice of enforcement's phrase "substantially similar" is unconstitutionally vague. Okay, kind of the same thing but different. 2, as applied vagueness challenges to the same phrase with respect to specific firearms, and challenge that the notice of enforcement, not the statute itself, violates the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. And 3, a state law challenge that the notice of enforcement exceeds the Attorney General's authority under Massachusetts law. And I'll have a link, again, to all this in the description. So I know this is a lot of jargon, we're like 7 minutes into this, but the two different groups are suing the same person for kind of the same thing, but they're going at it for different angles. So, they're trying to, I guess, bob and weave. One's going to hit her high, the other one's going to hit her low. In the Pullman Arms case, they're going after the specifics of the enforcement notice itself. While in the Werman v. Baker case, they're going at the constitutionality of everything she did and how it infringes on the Second Amendment. The next link in the description will be Maura Healy's answer to the complaint. She filed this March 16th of this year, 2017, and I'll link it like I said, but when you read it, you're going to see the same type of thing repeated time after time after time. She goes through every single paragraph in the complaint and writes in there why it doesn't apply, why it should be thrown out, and quite often why what was said in the complaint doesn't even garner a response from her, because that's why. It's infuriating. Last week, April 13th, 2017, they had a scheduling conference. And a lot of us were hoping to get A, word that it was going to trial, which we got. But B, we were hoping to get it sooner rather than later. We were hoping to hear it was going to move quick, because now we have Neil Gorsuch sitting in the Supreme Court. Now is a good chance to start pounding away at all these illegal actions by some of these fascist states that want to withhold people's rights, whether it's the Second Amendment or anything else. Now is the time to start punching them in the mouth, because everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But May 1st is going to be, or later, is going to be the trial date. They do have another scheduling conference scheduled in December. I think it's December 15th. But it is going to trial, which could very well be good for gun owners in Massachusetts, but at the same time, it could be dangerous. So Massachusetts is liberal, depends on, they're going to go judge shopping, depends on who sits when it's heard on the federal circuit. All kinds of stuff goes into it. If you've watched this channel, you already know this. But ultimately, if we lose here, it's going to go to the appellate court. If we lose there, or they come up with some crazy ruling there, it will go to the Supreme Court. But it could be a while. This could be years. I was hoping that the trial would be sooner rather than later, or stay would be filed, so that we could have our rights until, the people in robes decided how this was going to go forward. But unfortunately, they're just going to infringe on our rights until at least May, and then however long the trial goes, and the appeal, etc. So, kind of good news, kind of not so good news, but that is law. That's how law goes. That is all in the description. If you want further information, you can call COM2A if you live in Massachusetts and you don't know them. Shame on you. Link will be in the description. And Massachusetts, you should be a member of GOAL as well, Gun Owners Action League. Shame on you if you're not. You can find them, link in the description as well. And you don't have to be a Massachusetts resident to be a member of GOAL. So if you're out of Massachusetts and the surrounding states, they do a great deal of work in the state for hunters, for shooters, trying to get things the way they should be. It's not as easy as we want it to be, I guess, but they're doing a hell of a job. And let's see where this goes. But this is what it is, like Bill Belichick says. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're watching this on VidMe, give me an upvote and follow me if you haven't already. This is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. Thank you for your time. Please join this growing freedom family by subscribing to the channel. There is strength in numbers, and YouTube needs to realize that. So pile on, everybody, whether it's my channel or another 2A channel you watch. Subscribe if you haven't already. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. Take care, everyone.